So I got this as a rental because my car's in the shop. It got crashed into while it was parked in a parking lot. And I've driven this car for 9 days now, over about 600 miles. So I've got a pretty good feel for it. And I've had my Model 3 for 5 years. I've put over 100,000 miles on that. So comparing the two, one of the first things I noticed was that the touchscreen is smaller on the Volvo, maybe half the size, and it's a little bit farther out of reach. I feel like the Tesla touchscreens are more accessible. It's not quite as fast as the performance Model 3 or Model Y. Range is very similar. I don't put a lot of stock in the EPA estimated ranges. What I care about is how far it actually goes. And at freeway speeds, this goes about the same as my Model 3 long range. My Model 3 long range gets a little bit farther, maybe 230 miles at fast freeway speeds, whereas this is getting like 220. I like my Tesla, and I'm trying to not be a Tesla fanboy. I'm trying to give an objective review. And so I'm trying to find as many things that I like and prefer about the Volvo. And there were a couple that I found. Number one is Google Assistant works better on this than the audio input on the Teslas. Another thing is I like the sunscreen. So there's this sunscreen that can cover the window. And it's a functioning sunroof also, unlike the Teslas. So I do like that. And I feel like this car is maybe a bit more comfortable than the Teslas. Most people don't complain about comfort in Teslas, but I'm almost 6'3", and so I do get back pain if I'm sitting in a Tesla too long. I got a little back pain sitting in this on a 4-hour drive, but that's normal. I feel like this gives you a little bit more vertical space than a Tesla. This car sits higher than the Model Y. It has more clearance and sits higher. But overall size is very similar, range is similar, battery capacity is similar. Now some things I didn't like. The Teslas are much faster than these. So the Model Y Performance does a 3.5 second 0 to 60, and this does about a 4.5. So this is pretty quick, but a 1 second difference in the car world is a big difference. And I feel like this was lacking a little bit in that you can actually feel the difference. Also, charging's kind of a nightmare in anything but a Tesla. On this long road trip, there's just not very many options. I'm doing 4 hours between Fresno and San Francisco, and there's some traffic, so it's like a 4-hour drive. There's not a lot of places to supercharge, and the few places that do have supercharging cost 2 to 3 times as much as the Tesla supercharging network. Apparently later this year, Volvo is going to be allowed to charge on the supercharging network. It will be seen how pricing will work out. Will it be the same as for Tesla owners or not? I don't know. But right now it's significantly more expensive to charge. And I don't like the mechanism. I don't like the process of charging on this car. There's a lot more steps, right? The Tesla, you tap it, it opens real quick, and you just plug in and it goes. Whereas this, there's a lot more steps of opening the cover, and there's another cover if you want to supercharge or do a fast charge. There's locking and unlocking. You have to like climb into the car to hit the unlock button. It feels like the process could have been a lot simpler, but it's not. The big thing that I've noticed a difference on is the lack of autopilot. Now this car does have sort of steering assist, which kind of keeps you in the lane. I've got steering assist on right now, and it does follow the car's speed in front of you. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't slow down for sharp curves, and it doesn't really steer well on sharp curves either. So I think even basic autopilot does a far better job of kind of doing the driving for you. Now, of course, no car manufacturer is going to say that you can be distracted while driving, but I feel like distractions, there's a spectrum of them, right? And maybe adjusting the radio or talking to your friend in the car, those kinds of distractions, I'd feel comfortable doing that while on this sort of adaptive cruise control or whatever it is in the Volvo. But I wouldn't feel comfortable reading a text message. Whereas in the Tesla, I feel like that level of distraction is okay. It does a lot more to take care of things for you compared to this. If you're going to spend $54,000 on a car, just get the Model Y. It's faster, it's way cooler, better touchscreen, better styling, slightly better aerodynamics, and way better autopilot. That's my synopsis after driving the Volvo for 1 week or so. So today I'm going to compare a Tesla Model Y performance with the Volvo CX40 Recharge. So I own a Tesla Model 3 that's long range, dual motor, and has the boosted acceleration. I added a spoiler and some aluminum brake and gas pedals. So it's basically a performance with different wheels and brakes. And my brother-in-law owns a Model Y Performance that I've driven. And the CX40 feels like it was very much made to compete directly with the Model Y Performance, or at least the Model Y. In price, they're almost exactly the same, about $54,000 for the CX40 Recharge and the Model Y Performance. Specs are very similar, 75 kilowatt hour usable battery. The Volvo has 78 kilowatt hours, but 3 of those are locked, so they're not usable. So yes, the Volvo has a few things like the operational sunroof and sunscreen, but it's also missing a few things. For example, I can't adjust the cruise control in the Volvo in 1 mile per hour increments. You only have 5 mile per hour increments. It also doesn't have a USB-A charge port. And the steering column, if you want to adjust the height or distance between you and the steering wheel, that has to be done manually. So you can't save those settings if you have multiple drivers. But overall, the most important things to me are, as sort of a car enthusiast, the speed's important to me. So having that 1 second difference on the acceleration is a big deal. Also, adaptive cruise control isn't doing it for me with the Volvo. I really like having even the basic autopilot.